Good morning, all of you. In previous session, last week, we completed sixth chapter, molecular basis of inheritance. Now, in this session, we are going to be deal the next chapter, chapter 7, evolution. So, in plus 1, if we observe, the first concept is reproduction in organisms. Means what are the types of reproductions we were discussed? Sexual, asexual, generally. In second chapter, if you observe, flowering plants, sexual reproduction in the flowering plants or angiosperms. Means how the sexual reproduction is going to be happening. In plants, in third chapter, we were discussed that human reproduction. Means generally in animals. What is the mode of sexual reproduction? The time duration, the mode of processes might be different. Ultimately, sexual reproduction in the sense fusion of the male and female gametes and produce fertile offspring. Reproductive health, fourth chapter, that is a generalized concept regarding human beings. Just keep it aside, fourth chapter. Next, if you observe fifth chapter, principles of inheritance and variations. The main motto of that chapter is principles of inheritance. Means what? If you observe in the second and third chapter, we were discussed that offspring is resembles like their parents with less or more similar characteristic features. And we were discussing that the mango tree will give birth to mango, banana will give birth to banana, monkey will give birth to monkey, donkey will give birth to donkey. Means how the same organism is going to be reproduced. So in such condition, in principles of inheritance and variations, we were discussing that the main reason for this is something is transferring from parents to next generation, ancestors to successive generations through a connecting link. What is the connecting link between the parents to us? The connecting link between the parents to the next generation is gametes. Those gametes placed together forms zygote. Zygote is the connecting link between parents to next generation, ancestors to successive generations. Means what? In fifth chapter we were discussed that something is transferring from ancestors to successive generations through gametes. So generalized concept, monohybrid cross, dihybrid cross, chromosomal theory of inheritance, that and all we are discussing. So if you enter into the sixth chapter, principles of inheritance, just the basics, what is the reason for the inheritance? Then if you enter into the sixth chapter, molecular basis of inheritance, we are entered into molecules level. In a gamete, in a single cell, what are the components were present which are responsible for inheritance? What is inheritance? The transfer of ancestral characteristic features to successive generation. That we were discussed in sixth chapter. Various aspects. Finally, we were finalized that concluded that DNA acts as genetic material which is responsible for transfer the ancestral characteristic features to successive generations. And we were discussed. Now, in this chapter, we are going to be discuss that or the light was found. That we are going to be discuss in this chapter. Right. First of all, what is the meaning of evolution? What is the meaning of evolution? Evolution means accumulation of changes. Accumulation of changes. Means what? Continuously the changes are going to be happens. Continuously the changes are going to be happens in this nature, and those are accumulate, exist, continuous the changes. That is nothing but for evolution. Here, what are the reasons for accumulation of changes? So many are there. Differentiation, diversification, natural selection, adaptive radiation, survival for fitness, mutations, all these things were the some of the reasons for accumulation of changes. Means whatever the organism was present in this nature, from that organism different various species are going to be arose. That's nothing but called adaptive radiation. Whatever the reasons, climatic factors, droughts, food habits, scarcity of food, competition among the species, so many aspects will be taken under consideration. For what? The accumulation of the changes. The changes will ultimately leads to formation of new species. Clear? Here, first in this concept, let us discuss about origin of life. Origin of life. Let us discuss. First of all, if you want to discuss about origin of life in the sense, first you should discuss about origin of earth. What is the reason to discuss about origin of earth? Means in the solar system, only on earth the life is present. Totally in a solar system, one sun will be present, around that 8 planets were there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Actually, earlier 8, 9 planets were there, but nowadays the Pluto was gone out of from the solar system. It was skipped. There is no attractive force between Sun and Pluto. The reason is it was too much far, so it was gone away in this solar system, at third place, the Earth was present. So, on the Earth only the life is there. Remaining in 7 planets, there is no life at all. Uranus, Saturn, Neptune, like Mars, like that, 8 planets were there. If you take all those 8 planets, the life was present on Earth only. So, first of all, we should discuss about origin of life also. Next, here the Earth was originated by Big Bang theory. The origin of Earth was explained by Big Bang theory. Means what? In a physics terminology, it is a large explosion. The large explosion. Unimaginable. Right. Whenever the large explosion was happened, the solid mass was distributed into the entire space in the form of powder. So, in next condition, the powder was accumulate because of attractive force among those molecules. They were formed a solid mass. These solid mass are considered as planets. Here, in this way, the solar system was formed 20 billion years back. 20 billion years back. After that, here in the solar system, so many Milky Ways will be present, the galaxies were present. Milky Ways, galaxies, like that, asteroids, like that, so many aspects were present in the space itself. If you observe, so many stars are also present in the space. When compared to all these things, the Earth is a speck, a star. That's it. Whereas Earth is the largest one, the huge amount of solid mass. But if you take the entire universe by under considering so many solar systems, stars, Milky Ways, galaxies, astro, by taking all these things under consideration, the Earth is a speck or star in university. Here, the Earth was formed 4.5 million years. Billion years back. So, after the formation of the Earth, on the Earth, first methane, ammonia, carbon dioxide, and water vapor were present in primitive environment. Primitive environment. First of all, what are the gases were present? Methane, ammonia, carbon dioxide, and water vapor. Very, very important question. The components which were present in a primitive environment. Right. Here, the water was broken down into hydrogen and oxygen with the help of UV rays released by sun. So, initially the environment is reductive environment. Reductive environment. What is the reason? First of all, the oxygen is the hydrogen is present more in amount. Not only more, oxygen only, hydrogen only present in the space itself. So it is to call as reductive environment. Then what about the oxygen? Oxygen is ready to bind with methane and ammonia. In this condition, it's going to be released water and carbon dioxide. So there is no oxygen in earlier environment. Hydrogen only accumulating, hence it is called reductive environment. And later, along with that, ozone layer is going to be formed. Ozone layer is going to be formed. So because of the formation of ozone layer, what happened? The environment became cool. The environment became cool. On the surface of the earth, according to some surveys, nearly 8,000 degrees Celsius temperature is going to be maintained on earth's surface during primitive environment condition. But whenever the ozone layer was formed, the environment was slowly becoming cool. In such condition, the water vapor slowly condensed and reaches to the surface of the earth in the form of rain droplets. The water vapor was condensed. So they were reaches to the earth's surface in the form of rain droplets. The circle is going to be happens continuously because of hydrological cycle. The total environment became cool and the normal conditions were present. And the rain droplets, the water was filled the depressions which are present on Earth's surface. After filling the Earth's surface with the help of the water, those who became as lakes, rivers, seas, and oceans. These are the different types of the water bodies which were present on Earth. And later, 500 million years ago, 500 million years ago, the primitive life was originated on Earth. 500 million years ago, the primitive life was originated on the surface of Earth. In this way, the Earth and the life was originated on the surface of Earth. Here, while discussing with respect to the origin of life, different aspects were there. Different theories was proposed by different scientists. Okay, for any type of experiments, we cannot conclude with only one type of experimental aspects. If not, we cannot believe only one scientist names. They will be give different ideas. So what are those? In that one of the theory is five theories were there. In that earlier one theory is cosmozoid theory or panspermia theory. Cosmozoid theory or panspermia theory. Here, this was proposed by early Greek thinkers. The ideas will be present, the ideology will be present. According to the Greek thinkers, they were proposed that cosmozoic theory. Means what? According to this, the spores are present in space in inactive states. The spores are present in universe in inactive state. They were reaches to the surface of Earth. They were reaches to the surface of Earth and developed like a new species. That is the proposal about cosmozoic theory or panspermia theory. So in such condition, if you ask in the space how the inactive spores were present, it's so many trillion million years, kilometers far will be present from one planet to another planet. Who was create those spores in the space? For those questions, there is no answer at all. So that is the ideology. Something was came from this space. So is also failure. That is the idea. Then one more theory is abiogenesis theory. Abiogenesis theory or spontaneous theory. Spontaneous theory. Abiogenesis in the sense what? Abio in the sense what? Bio in the sense living. Abio in the sense what? Non-living. Genesis, synthesize. Spontaneous means suddenly. That is the meaning of abiogenesis theory. Here, the abiogenesis theory was proposed by Thales, Aristotle. Those people who are proposed that abiogenesis theory, according to the abiogenesis theory, from the non-living material, means what? Soil, water, mud, decaying logs, etc. All these things will become under non-living materials. From the non-living materials, the life was originated. That is the myth. So, with our knowledge, if you observe, we cannot accept from soil or from water how it is possible to arouse a life. So, it is also thanks. How it was disproved by a scientist name is nothing but called Louis Pasteur. So, while disproving that abiogenesis theory, he was proposed that biogenesis theory. It was proposed by Louis Pasteur. Biogenesis theory was proposed by Louis Pasteur. Actually, his intention is to disprove abiogenesis theory. He was disproved the abiogenesis theory with the help of Swan-Neck experiments. With the help of Swan-Neck experiment, he was disproved that abiogenesis theory. How in the sense, let us imagine that this is a flask. This is a Swan-Neck flask. Means, however, the neck is present to the swan, like that the flask also has the neck, Swan-Neck experiment. So in this, he was taken the water, and here in this, he was kept one piece of meat or flesh, and so it was free of microorganisms. It was free of microorganisms. Means what? In this there is no microorganisms at all, and because of this Swan-Neck there is no possibility to enter. No possibility to enter the microorganisms. So, if abiogenesis theory is perfect, correct in the sense, in this condition, from this non-living material, according to the spontaneous theory, from this flesh or meat, the new species has to be arose. But in this Swan-Neck experiment, the new species was not arose. So, with this Swan-Neck experiment, he was disproved that abiogenesis theory. And then what he was done? And then he was broken the neck. So, in this condition, the microorganisms were freely enter into the flask, and it was attached to the flesh, and in such condition there is a possibility to arouse the species. Hence, he was proposed one more theory is nothing but biogenesis theory. Means what? The meaning of biogenesis theory is the living organisms were arose from, the new species were arose from, pre-existing organisms. Organisms are arose from pre-existing organisms. Life. Genesis synthesized. The life was arose from developed from the already existed organisms. So this theory was up to a certain extent correct only. The reason is we can say that from where the human being was arose means we can say that without having any doubt ape or monkey. We were arose. Human being was arose from ape or monkey. This is the life. Man was arose from ape or monkey. Means what? The species were arose from previously existing organisms. But here the question is what? From where the pre-existing organism was arose? We have the doubt. Okay, from where the monkey was arose? Like that we will have the continuous questions. In such conditions, there is no specific answer for the origin of life in early stage. That for that we have one more theory that we will be discussing another session. With this will be end of the session.